Hi everyone. In this video I just want to go briefly over the module 3, how it is structured. So you will notice that I have provided to you readings about algorithms and flowcharts and also about automating data operations. So let's explore the readings or the description of algorithm and flowchart. So it's provided to you here, the slides as well as the readings are provided to you here, and descriptions of the concepts that are covered for this particular topic. And also the same thing for automating data operations. You have description of the concepts and also the readings are provided to you here. So now let me go briefly over loops. So we will actually talk more about loops when we start programming, but since we are talking about flowcharts, let me go briefly over what we really mean by a loop. So a loop is when we are repeating the execution of a code statement more than one time. And this execution or the loop can be executed executing a certain statement, or it can be once all statements have been executed, it goes back from the beginning and then does the same process again. So that's why we call it a loop, because it goes back. And another thing is that important about understanding loops is iteration. What we mean by an iteration is basically when one complete execution of a loop is executed, then we call it an iteration. So there are two types or categories of loops. So we have fixed iteration loop, which repeats relevant statement a set of number of times, so it is fixed. So for example, repeats it 10 times and then it executes, and then it ends or terminates. And the second category is when we have infinite loop. So it keeps calculating or it keeps doing the same task infinitively. And then there are two types, terminants, or when a loop would end. So it ends either if there is a numeric expression. So let's say there is, it repeats for only certain times, let's say 10 times. Then so there is a numeric expression, or there is a logical expression, which basically ends with true or false. So let's say a logical expression can be if the count is greater than 10, then terminate. So in that case, there is a condition. So if it is yes, then terminate. If it's not, then don't terminate. So the output or it's evaluated based on true or false. So now let's look at an example. So this example was actually provided to you in one of the previous slides, which is about the discount and also cash rewards for a retail store or a department store. So based on how much the customer spends, then they can get a discount percentage of their next purchase, and also how much cash rewards they will get towards their next purchase. So this is kind of different conditions. Now let's say we have already programmed this, but we want to repeat, because now when it finishes executing only one process or one customer process, it ends after we see the tax and also we see the net and how much cash they will pay. It ends that software. Think about it as standalone software on your desktop. As soon as you calculate how much the customer wants to pay, and then it ends. So, and then if another customer comes, then the clerk needs to go to the desktop and click on that icon of that application, and then it starts from scratch, and so it takes a while to start. So let's say that we don't want that software to terminate. We want it to start from scratch, so that way we can process the next customer. And instead of closing and then we going to open it again and takes time. So in this case, we are going to create a loop for it. So the loop will be actually after we print, after we display for the first customer all their their full price and also their tax and net and cash. Then we want to add a loop option. So to add that loop option, it is right after the output shape. So this is where we are going to put it. So we're going to put it right after the output shape. We will have a prompt, which is basically a pop-up message that comes to the clerk asking them, do you want to repeat? So the input will be all repeat, and then the clerk will say yes. If they want it to repeat, then it will loop and start from scratch. Then they will ask them, okay, for this new customer, what is the full price, or so on. If they don't want it to repeat, then it will end. So now you get the idea. Again, if you, when you are working on the homework or on the exam and I ask you about a loop, so this is how we add a loop. So we add a prompt, which is a pop-up message, and it says repeat yes or no, and then the input will be repeat as a pop-up, and then we will have to say yes or no. Is it the repeat yes? If it is yes, it starts from scratch. If not, then it ends that application. So that's all that I wanted to cover for today, and we will start programming in the next lecture.